Well, Todd Moss, former top U.S. diplomat for West Africa, currently serves as the Chief Operating Officer and Senior Fellow at the Center for Global Development with a focus on U.S.-Africa relations and financial issues facing sub-Saharan Africa. He's also an author, and in his debut fiction novel, The Golden Hour, Mali's president has been overthrown in a coup, a U.S. senator's daughter has been kidnapped in Timbuktu, and a violent new jihadist cell has been discovered in the desert. In a recent interview with Moss, he talked about what inspired him to write the book.
Well, I worked for Secretary Condoleezza Rice in the State Department, and when I left government, I wanted to write a story about what is American foreign policy making like in the 21st century. What happens when there's a crisis on the other side of the world, and what happens inside the State Department, inside the White House Situation Room, that leads us to make certain kinds of political decisions that impact people around the world. And I wanted to tell that story through an African incident because Africa is becoming more important to U.S. foreign policy, and I wanted to use that as an example.
One thing I noticed about your main character is that, while he thinks he knows everything about how things work and he has all these great connections and friends, he gets a surprise of his life when he realizes that things move and shift in so many other directions than he had anticipated. Was this based on personal experience, knowing that you were at one time actually serving in that region of West Africa, where so many things have happened over the years?
I tried to draw on a couple of pieces that I lived through. One is as an outsider coming into the U.S. government, trying to figure out how does it work. The main character has to do that. He's an Amherst College professor who's dropped into the State Department to run a new crisis reaction unit. And he has to figure out how do you operate inside something like the U.S. government. But also, I've been working on sub-Saharan Africa for 25 years. And I've been working on a country like Nigeria for many years. And what I've come to realize is the more I learn about a place like Nigeria or a place like Ghana or Zimbabwe, the more I realize how little I really understand it as an outsider. And so I wanted the main character also to be, he's an intelligent person who's trying to put the pieces together, but he realizes that he doesn't have all the information he needs to make good decisions. He's got to keep digging deeper to try to get at the real truth.
While this is a work of fiction, one remarkable thing is that actually it's about a coup, or it does happen when a coup takes place in Mali. Mm-hmm. Now, our viewers need to know that you wrote the book before an actual coup happened in Mali. What did you know as you were writing this book?
Well, the original basis for the story was the 2008 coup in Mauritania. I actually went to Nouakchott to meet with General Aziz a few days after the coup, and I used that as the central plot for this story. But I thought not that many people outside of Mauritania know where Nouakchott is, whereas everybody, and virtually all Americans, which is the principal audience for the book initially, have heard of Timbuktu. So I put the story in Mali. And about 6 weeks after I finished the book, of course, ATT was overthrown in a coup in Bamako.
One of the things I always get concerned about is when an author who is not a native of a particular country is the risk of perhaps misrepresenting the country, misrepresenting the people. And what have you done, or how have you ensured that when a Malian takes this book and reads, they would say, yeah, that's about my country?
I tried very hard not to fall into cliches. There are Nigerian characters in there who are heroes. They're not the corrupt character. A lot of the bad guys are Americans. I tried to mix it up to make it a little bit unpredictable. The way that I dealt with your particular issue, though, is that the character himself, Judd Riker, the main character, he struggles with this same issue. Is he projecting his own views onto this foreign country that maybe he knows a little but not a lot? And that's really something that I, as a foreign policy analyst, struggle with all the time. I try to just make that explicit. It's, I think, ultimately unresolvable.
Well, Todd Moss is the author of the new thriller, The Golden Hour. We want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com.